to talk about culture war because a lot of people don't know this term actually has nothing to do with culture. And so, based on what I've already said, and that's why what I said already is really important because when you understand that it's voluntary, you understand that there's a discussion that has to take place for culture to form, then you can understand that culture war as a term is kind of a contradiction to what culture is. So not only is war involuntary, but the term culture war itself came from the late 1800s. I think in our previous test, I mentioned that it came from World War One, but that's actually not true. I actually looked at it today again. And if you go to culture war in Wikipedia, it tells you it's from this period before World War One, but it does deal with the same people, which is the German people, right? That's why it's called Kulturkampf. But if you look at the
Wow.
definition on Wikipedia, it's actually literally dealing with propaganda, and it literally deals with a battle between the religious people and the political powers.
Mm.
So,
Are
how
you
do you
trying to
know?
make, are you trying to make propaganda?
Well, what I'm trying to say is that that's the same people we're talking about now. Is the
Mm.
religious people, or the traditional people, or the conservatives,
Yeah.
and the political people are trying to change things and bring a change to their whole nation. They
Yeah.
were actually trying to form the German people into a unified nationalist force. And so they were trying to gain more political power. And this actually eventually turned into fascism. But
Wow.
it basically engaged in propaganda, but also it was about giving more power to the political side of it because the idea was that through nationalism it would give them a national identity and they would no longer be divided in Germany. So Prussia, which doesn't exist now, right? But Prussia
Mm.
was basically the most powerful part of Germany at the time, and
Mm.
they were the ones who were engaged in trying to create a culture war and were trying to create a national identity. And they actually, how did they do it? And this is the funny thing. How did they do it? But through hating the Polish people.
Wow.
The
Having a
same
common
thing,
enemy.
same thing in Germany. Yeah, in number two, the number two war is that they had to create strength through hatred, and
Yeah.
that's what united them together. Is it's like, well, we're not going to unite on these principles, so we'll unite in our hatred against the Poles. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness! So that's you could say, I don't know if that's the original foundation of nationalism, but that's the original foundation of culture war and of German nationalism and fascism. So, I find that really interesting
That is interesting.
and it's very disturbing.
Yeah.
So you can also see how it has nothing to do with actual culture.
Hmm.
A hatred of people is not what culture is about.
Yeah.
Um, So, it's about voluntary agreement within your society. Um, but I guess what they were doing was creating a culture of hatred, you could say.
Mm.
Um, and that's what united them together in Prussia to become a stronger nation. So it's quite disturbing when you think about it. But that's also what they're doing on the left today after COVID is the hatred of people who wouldn't take the vax, the people who wouldn't mask. So this common enemy unites a people, and so
Yeah.
that's I think what they're trying to do is create division and unite people on their side against this other. So they're creating classism, and and they're trying to create their own culture separate from um, conservatives.
So we've learned how to not create culture.
Yep.
This is what
Thank
we
you.
don't want to do.
Do not do this, people.